are here at the Charlotte County Administration Center, Peace River, Manasota Regional Water Supply Authority Board of Directors meeting. It's August 5th, 2026. If you're able, please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Gracious Father, thank you for another day of life. Thank you for this beautiful land that we live in, for the bounty, the abundance you've given us. We know that every good gift comes down from above, and we thank you, Father, for the blessings you pour out on us every day. Especially now, we're thankful for the rain and for the life it brings. As always, we pray for those who are willing to sacrifice and serve to protect us and keep us safe. We pray for our first responders. Pray for our law enforcement. We pray a special prayer for those in our armed forces, those who are in combat, and those who are in foreign lands, to protect us and defend the principles and the freedoms we enjoy. Father, thank you for this facility and for the organization that serves every day to make sure that we have the water so necessary to life. Father, we pray for those who are privileged to serve, that we will serve with honor, with dignity, with integrity, and with humility. Father, in this election season, we pray that you will give victory to those who will honor you and honor the principles and values upon which this great nation was founded. Now we ask you to go with us in this meeting, give us wisdom to make good and right decisions, and we pray that we will always do what is right regardless. May we never forget the motto of this great state: in God we trust. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. With that, I'll do a quick roll call. Commissioner Teseo. Here. Commissioner Langford.
Present.
Commissioner Bearden. Here. We have all of our board of directors present. With that, we'll move to host county remarks. For that, we have Hector Flores.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, Hector Flores, County Administrator. Just certainly want to welcome everybody to Charlotte County and our chambers. I always say on behalf of economic development, tourists, spend some money, get some gas on your way out of town. I know our Commissioner Teseo would echo those comments, but a couple things, I call it our family here of the counties and the teamwork, the partnership. I always just want to stress that. The value it is to Charlotte County, for sure. My communications with Richard and his team, I appreciate what he does. We try to make sure that the lines of communication are open as we all together regionally try and make sure we're meeting the potential demands and supporting and the planning that goes in advance to the capacity and the needs of the region. So even small things like, and hopefully we'll get a good report, just even coordinating on the messaging of the conditions, our water conservation and restrictions that we've been under the past couple of months. So again, Richard, appreciate your team and what you do. And then for the various counties, know that myself and your administrators were constantly in constant communication as well, especially Jonathan and Mandy at their counties. We sit on a couple of boards and committees together, so and then also for Charlie too. So just appreciate everyone's partnership. Thank you. Welcome to Charlotte County. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for hosting us. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes today, sir.
Okay, with that, we'll move to public comments. Do we have any cards? Anyone here? We have none? Okay, with that, we will move to some special awards and recognitions for a couple of employees.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Knowles with Authority staff. I have the pleasure of recognizing Rob Wilson for his 10 years of dedicated service to the Authority. Rob is one half of our IT department and plays a critical role in keeping the Authority running smoothly. He implements new hardware. He troubleshoots technical issues that our staff occasionally create for him. He keeps our infrastructure operating around the clock. If something involving technology is working, there's a good chance Rob has had something to do with it. As Rob approached this milestone, both him and I looked back at his board meeting back in 2021, recognizing his 5 years of service to the authority, and we noticed a few things. First off, Katie Gilmore, Jim Guida, who's now retired, and myself were all in attendance at that meeting, but we were not with the authority at that time. The second was Rob was not married at the time of his 5-year recognition, but just 42 days later, he married Elisa. It was good that we were looking at that video because it reminded him he now had to plan a 5-year wedding anniversary. So Rob and Elisa have been happily married ever since. They live in Arcadia with their 7 children. As if that doesn't keep him busy enough, he has 6 Labrador retrievers, 5 grandkids, 4 cars, 3 children-in-law, 2 lawnmowers, 1 sit down, 1 push, 1 cat, and there's never a shortage of activity around their house. So Rob, thank you for taking time away from your family to work for the authority, and thank you for your 10 years of outstanding service, your dedication, everything you do. Congrats on your milestone. Gotcha. Got a picture. Oh. Grab the control camera.
I'm here to recognize Chip Chaffee. He's been with the authority for the past 10 years, and he's been an invaluable cornerstone to the authority's team. Thanks to his extensive technical background and unwavering devotion to operational success, he consistently shows a positive attitude and great leadership skills. He's been the lead maintenance mechanic out there in the maintenance department. He is a proud Air Force veteran that served his country, and he's a father of 3 and a grandfather of 3 grandchildren. In his free time, he's an outdoor enthusiast who likes sport shooting and hiking and hunting. He's instrumental in ensuring that the reliable delivery of water to our member counties goes on. He is always out there during emergencies and has been out there for the past 4 hurricanes that we've had out there, and particularly during Ian. He did not even know the state of his home, and he was out there seeing to that plant running and delivering what you guys all need in the counties. So I hold him in the highest personal and professional regard, and I'm very honored to be a part of a team with him. So.
Okay, congratulations to both of you, and thank you for your dedicated service to this facility. It shows. With that, we're going to move to our budget for 2027, the adoption of the budget for fiscal year 2027. And for that, we welcome Ann Lee, our Budget and Finance Senior Manager. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, and Lee of your staff. And I'm pleased to be here this morning to present on the final proposed budget for FY27. Pursuant to the second amended interlocal agreement, the authority is required to create a tentative budget no later than May 15th and a final budget no later than August 15th, which drives the budget calendar you see here. At our February 4th meeting, Mr. Anderson presented to the board on budget issues and considerations for FY27. On April 1st, we presented the tentative budget, and today we're here to present the final budget for your consideration. Similar to your respective county water operations, the authority is set up as an enterprise fund. All our operating funds come from water sales and planning assessments to our 5 customers, and we do not levy any taxes to support our activities. Budgetarily, the authority is broken into 2 cost centers, the administrative and facilities. The administrative cost center houses the executive, finance, HR staff, and related expenditures, and the facilities holds everything else. operations, technical services, construction, and water resources. Before we get into the details of the final proposed budget, here's an overview of the final budget charges per cost center as compared to the tentative budget as well as the FY26 budget. The administrative office charges make up less than 1% of the total budget, and the increase from the tentative budget to the final proposed budget is 0. The remaining 99% of the budget is attributed to facilities, which is slated to increase from the tentative budget by $4.5 million due to an update in the anticipated expenditures related to the Kings Highway Replacement Project. This project will be spoken about during the regular agenda by Mr. Knowles in depth. There were 2 other changes from the tentative budget to the final proposed budget. The system-wide benefit contribution was increased from $500,000 to $750,000, and the disaster recovery reserve contribution was decreased from $500,000 to $250,000. So in aggregate, the final proposed budget for FY27 is $4.5 million more than the tentative budget and $56.3 million more than the FY26 budget. In terms of revenues, here's a comparison of the total revenues found within the FY27 budget to the current fiscal year. Water sale revenue for FY27 is projected to be up $9 million due to increased customer demands. CIP funds reflect an increase of $45.6 million. Grant revenues are expected to increase by $2 million. The other category, which includes planning assessments, member fees, rental, and interest income, is expected to remain flat. Reserve funds, which include internal transfers from R&R accounts and rate stabilization accounts, is also the same as 2026. And lastly, carry forward funds, which include debt service coverage funds as well as carry forward funds, is slated to decrease slightly to $3.8 million. This graph shows the historical base rate charge for FY23 through 26 by its parts and pieces, as well as the proposed base rate for 27. Please note that that other category comprises the DeSoto payment and the system-wide benefit contributions. So although the total base rate remained unchanged from the tentative budget, the breakdown between the fixed and other costs changed slightly due to those changes in the reserve fund contributions. The FY27 proposed budget base rate totals $42.6 million, which is an increase of $8.5 million over the current fiscal year. $7.3 million of this increase is from additional bonded debt, as well as the increased DeSoto payment. The fixed cost portion of the budget base rate increased roughly $557,000, or 2.9% from the current fiscal year. In terms of base rate per customer, this chart reflects the changes from the FY27 tentative budget to the final proposed budget, as well as the FY26 budget. Due to the additional debt of the 2025 bonds, as well as the updated DeSoto payment schedule, all customers will see an increase in the FY27 budget base rate. The changes in the per customer base rate from the tentative budget to the final budget did change, but those are due to the changes in the system-wide benefit and the disaster recovery reserve contributions, as the participation in those 2 items vary between customers. This shows the water use rate charge in the budget from 23 to 27. Significant increases in chemical and power costs from 23 to 24 caused the water use rate to increase dramatically from 89 cents per thousand gallons to $1.09 per thousand gallons. Luckily, those extreme changes in power and chemical costs have moderated, and for FY27, we're looking at a 2 cents per thousand gallon increase, or a less than 2% increase in the water use charge. Outside of the water rate, the authority has relatively small assessments on the revenue side, which include member fees and planning assessment. The member fees support the administrative cost center of the authority, and this charge is proposed to decrease $22,000 when compared to the 2026 budget. The last of the revenue items is the management and planning assessment. This assessment covers planning projects such as feasibility projects, coordination with Polk Water, updates to the master water supply contract, In conjunction with that FY26 budget, we discussed and levelized the assessment for the next 3-year period. And as this is the second year of that period, we recommend maintaining the current assessment of $475,000. In terms of expenses, here's a comparison of the total expenses found in the FY27 final proposed budget to the current fiscal year. Operations and maintenance is up about $1.46 million, where slight increases and adjustments based on historical spending and expected needs have ensured an increase in line with inflation. Debt service for water supply and pipeline projects has been updated to reflect the 2025 bonds, and therefore an increase of the current fiscal year by $7.3 million. Projects, which include CIP, management and planning projects, and R&R projects, is up $47.1 million as we continue to expand. County payments has increased to $1.4 million in accordance with Exhibit A of the Master Water Supply Contract. Disbursements are on par with the current fiscal year. And lastly, other, which includes those contributions to the R&R and various internal transfers, has increased slightly. As we look at individual expense categories for operations and maintenance, the total operations and maintenance budget is $31.6 million, up 4.9% from 2026. Power and chemical costs increase in aggregate by $629,000, primarily due to increased customer demands. Staff and benefit costs are projected to be up $440,000, which includes a 4% increase in compensation and a 4% increase in health insurance costs. The repairs and maintenance increase is about $325,000 due to increased costs in the number of assets we are maintaining. Contract services, which includes services like general engineering, reservoir permit monitoring, the HBMP program, decreased $113,000. General administration increased by $30,000, primarily due to increased software needs and costs. And lastly, we have scheduled an increase of $153,000 in machinery and equipment to support additional needs for lab and plant calibration equipment, vehicles, and replacements of servers and computers. The other rate-related portion of the budget primarily serves for those internal transfers, contingency funds, and debt service coverage amounts. This portion of the budget totals $8.2 million, which reflects a decrease from the current year's budget of $211,000. In terms of projects, we have projected $302 million in expenditures for the FY27 CIP projects, which includes the Surface Water System Expansion Program and completion of the Phase 2B and 3C pipelines. We expect $76 million of this funding to come from the Swift Mud Grant and the balance of the funding coming from debt funds. We also have one system-wide benefit project included in this section, the Kings Highway pipeline replacement, which increased to $5 million from the $500,000 that we had in the tentative budget due to DOT timing. And again, this will be discussed further by Mr. Knowles in the regular agenda. Finally, the budget includes disbursement of $1.8 million of debt service coverage funds, as well as the 2015 bond refund savings. In aggregate, when you look at the annual budget in terms of its pieces, the O&M costs are increasing slightly through time, generally in line with inflation. The non-O&M costs, which include debt service, internal transfers, and fund disbursements, is fairly stable, and any of those dramatic changes are due to the change in debt service. The largest change this fiscal year, as it has been for the last few, is related to the CIP portion of the budget as we move forward with those new supply and finish up those pipeline projects to meet those customer demands. The CIP will continue to be the dominant expense over the budget through 2029. With that, I'll take any questions you may have.
All right, are there any questions, comments? Okay, with that, I guess we'll look for a motion then.
Yes, sir, I have a motion here for
We
your
have to open up
consideration.
public input, public hearing.
Oh, okay. Do we have any public comment?
Mr. Chair, seeing no one rise, motion to close public input.
Second.
Call the question. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It moves forward. With that, now we'll go forward and look for a motion to adopt the budget for fiscal year 2027. We have a motion by Commissioner Bearden,
Second.
second by Commissioner Langdon. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That moves forward unanimously.
Okay.
Moving to the resolution.
Budget item number 2 is for Resolution 2026-04 that formalizes the board's intent to set the rates, fees, and charges for fiscal year 2027.
All right, thank you. We have that in the book.
Yes. and
Mr. Chair,
So-
move the resolution.
So we have a motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Teseo, second by Commissioner Langdon. Any further comment or discussion on that? Seeing none, go ahead and call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That moves forward unanimously as well. All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, with that, thank you, Ann.
You are most
Appreciate the
welcome.
presentation. All right, moving to item 3 on the agenda, U.S. Geological Survey Joint Funding Agreement for monitoring in the Peace River. What's that?
Yeah, the
Oh,
consent.
I guess we should do a consent agenda.
Yeah, motion to move consent.
Second.
A motion and a second. Anything further? Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That moves forward unanimously. Now, item 3, U.S. Geological Survey Joint Funding Agreement for monitoring in the Peace River. Got it. Okay. That's all right. Oh, okay. I've got this little different agenda here. All right, so with that, move to the regular agenda. Item number 1, Water Supply Conditions Report. Okay.
Hi, good morning, Board. Katie Gilmore with your staff, here to go over regular item number 1, our Water Supply Conditions Report. And as always, this is for information only, no action is required. So today, first I'll go over the rainfall, river flow, withdrawals, and storage conditions at the facility through July 15th, a quick update on our current drought conditions and response, and then go over our regional water supply deliveries to our customers for the month of June. So up first here, you can see the Upper Peace River Basin average monthly rainfall. This is the 2-year history going July of 2024 through June of 26, with the blue dashed line showing our historic average monthly rain and the green line being the rainfall we actually received. So we have continued to receive below average rain for the last few months as the drought has persisted. Both April and May, we did though receive close to the historic average. In June, that went back down, and we only received 5.71 inches, which is about 2.5 below historic average. The good news, as we all know, is it started raining at the end of July and these first couple days in August so far. And as of July, we actually exactly hit the historical average of 8.08, and most of that was in those last few days. Okay, up next, the river flows. So this is the last 2 years of river flow updated through July 15th, with the red line being the minimum flow required for withdrawal of 130 CFS, the blue dotted line being the historical average monthly flow, and the green line being the average flow we saw on the river. So river flow, of course, continued to be much lower than normal due to the lower than normal rainfall. In May and June, the flows were just right around 50, 47.5 and 55 CFS. Flows were slightly up to start the month of July, but they were still well below average. So shown here through the middle of July, it was only 157, where the average flow is closer to 1,700 CFS on the river for July. The second half of the month did increase that slightly. We finished July at about 230. But the first 2 days in August, we were already up to about 770 CFS. The average is 1,900, but at least we're on our way. Okay, for river withdrawals, also for 2 years through July 15th. So of course, as a reminder, during the current drought, we did receive that emergency order from SwiftMud. So this gave us a modified river diversion schedule for our water use permit, and we are allowed to pump water as low as 50 CFS instead of the normal 130. So this order was extended and currently expires October 1st. But despite this lower minimum, the low river flows and also low river water quality, high salinity conductivity in the water prevented us from being able to pump for May and June. So for May, about 0.45 MGD on average was pumped, and we did not pump at all in the month of June. In July, that got better, and the average withdrawal through the 15th shown on this graph is 14.5 MGD, and we finished the month at about 17.5 with that little bit of rain we got towards the end. But those first few days in August, the flows increased enough that we're able to pull quite a bit more water, and we've been averaging about 111 MGD for the last few days. So that's actually giving us quite a bit of water coming into the reservoir right now. And so you can see it's not reflected on here, but I'll talk about that in a moment. But this here shows you the storage in the reservoir system for the last 10 years through middle of July, the 15th. So as reported the last several meetings, the ongoing drought, of course, has resulted in a drop in our reservoir storage as less water has been available to pump from the river over to the reservoirs. So as of July 15th, shown here, there was a total of about 2.58 billion gallons in the reservoir system. And so, of course, this graph still shows the 10-year history that I've been showing for the last several meetings, and that's to capture the worst conditions we've seen the last 10 years, which occurred in 2017. And so in July, we actually did go lower than that. So our value of July 15th of 2.58 is now the lowest we've seen in the reservoirs in the last 10 years. However, with the increased river flow and withdrawals, we've already started to see significant improvement in the reservoir volume. As of just August 2nd, we've increased to about 2.93 billion gallons, or about 350 million gallons more of water. And we've seen almost about a couple of feet increase in the reservoirs. So we're going to continue pumping that water as it's available and hope that we're rolling into a normal rainy season where there will continue to be water. Okay, also now shown here is the ASR storage the last 10 years through July 15th, with the blue line being the total volume we have in storage and the orange line being the total usable volume. So as of the 15th, you can see we had 5.8 billion gallons total volume in the system, which is about 3.6 in usable. As we have continued to use ASR, this has decreased. And so as of this week, we're about 5.6 or 3.5, so slightly lower than you see on the graph here. So throughout the drought, we have relied on ASR to supplement the water in the reservoir system with the lack of the river water. We were pumping, as I reported previous meetings, up to the operational maximum of around 18 to 20. We lowered that in the month of July, and we were pumping about 10 million gallons per day from the ASR system. And then as of this week, we still have the ASR system on, but we've lowered it to about 4.5 to 5 million gallons, and we're hoping to turn that off soon. So of course, you can see here the 10-year history. As of July, we weren't quite the lowest as we were in 2017, as we were on the reservoir, but we were low, and that's the factor of, you can see we started much higher in 2017 or this year than we did in 2017. And so our goal, of course, is once we turn the system off, in a few months we'll start recharging that system over the next couple of years, and we'll get that storage volume back up so that if we need to rely on it in another drought, we have it available. All right, and so this graph, of course, shows the estimated days of supply. And so this takes the 2.6 billion gallons of surface water and the 3.6 billion gallons of usable ASR that we had on July 15th, and gives us a total of 6.2 billion gallons. And so if we look at that around our average annual use of 30 million gallons per day, that equates to about 7 months, 207 days. If we look at our contractual allocated quantity of 34.7, it decreases to about a 6-month supply. So of course, this has continued to decrease as we've relied on that storage in the reservoir and the ASR system during this drought. But as of August 2nd, we've already seen an increase, even though we're still taking ASR because we are putting that water into the reservoir. And so today, we've increased this number by about a week. So we're increasing our storage slightly. And so as I mentioned before, we hope that this is the start of our normal rainy season finally, and with the predicted El Nino this fall and winter, we will take whatever water is available when it's available and start filling up ASR as soon as we can. All right, so now just a quick update on the drought conditions in our area. So the drought conditions do persist, but there's been improvements over the last few months. So as you can see here, this graphic and chart is from July 14th. And there was quite a good improvement in the percent area classified as extreme drought within the state, from 72% to only 16% in a 3-month time frame. There were no longer any areas of the state classified as exceptional drought. And of course, this being a few weeks old with the significant rainfall we've seen across the entire state the last week or so, I suspect that this will start to improve even more. And then also a quick summary of where we are in our drought response management. SwiftMud's Phase 3 water shortage order, the emergency order that we had on the Peace River to be able to pump at lower flows, and the emergency that City of Punta Gorda has on Shell Creek to be able to pull more water at lower flows were all extended through October 1st. And that gives us and other supplies in the area a chance to recover with those restrictions still in place to hopefully minimize demands somewhat. And then also, as I mentioned, we have been reducing the recovery volumes in our ASR system, and we're hoping to be able to turn that system off soon and switch to recharge. Okay, so now switching over to our total regional water production and use for the region in the month of June. This table shows the authority, our members and customers' water supply capacity and production for the month. This is our combined regional capacity in total is about 107.3. And in June, we delivered just under 32 million gallons per day to the region. Our members and customers together delivered 61.68, giving us a total of about 93.5 million gallons per day. Of that, 3.6 was delivered by Manatee to the non-authority wholesale customers they have in Longboat Key, Palmetto, and Bradenton. So that gives us a total June authority member and customer demand of just under 89.9 million gallons per day. And that's about 84% of the combined regional capacity. All right, so now walking through each of our members and customers. First up with Charlotte County. In June, Charlotte purchased 14.06 million gallons per day from the authority and self-supplied 0.86 for a total of just under 15 million gallons per day. And that's about 77% of their available capacity. For DeSoto, they purchased 0.71 million gallons per day from the authority and self-supplied 0.32 for a total use of 1.03, and that's 66% of their capacity. Sorry, hold on one second. Okay, yep, I thought I skipped that. For Manatee, they of course don't take any water from us, but they produced in total 50.94 from their water supply facilities. A little over 45 million gallons per day of that went to serve their retail customers. That 3.6 to their wholesale customers that are not authority members, and the remaining 2.18 went to Sarasota County. So overall, they're using about 96% of their total permitted capacity. Okay, for Sarasota, they purchased 14.3 million gallons per day from the authority and supplied 8.81 from their facility at the Carlton. They imported about 2.19, and that gave them a total use of 24.3, which is 85% of their capacity. And then for Northport, they purchased 2.75 MGD and self-supplied 1.75 from their facilities at Myakkahatchee Creek and Welland Park. And that gives them a total use of around 4.5, which is 55% of their capacity. All right, so the average annual regional use is shown here for the last 10 water years, 2026 through 2025, and the running 12-month average to date. So this is all of our regional deliveries to members and customers as well as non-customers. So as of June, that running 12-month average is 91.15 million gallons per day, and that is about 85% of the overall regional capacity. And then here's just the breakdown of the regional demand from the authority members and customers during June. As you can see, that total use of 93.5 MGD or 87% used, leaving us around 13% unused regional capacity. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, do we have any questions? Okay, let's hope it keeps raining.
Yes, hope so. Thank you.
This is a lot of water. Yeah. All right, thank you for that. With that, we'll move to the second item on our regular agenda, FDOT Kings Highway Widening Project. Welcome, Mr. Knowles.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Knowles with Authority staff presenting regular agenda item number 2. This is the FDOT Kings Highway Project Widening. There will be a motion for consideration of the utility work by highway contractor agreement at the conclusion of this presentation, and I'll go into a little more about what that agreement means for the authority. And that's the end of my presentation. Enjoyed it? Okay, sorry. Must have started at the end there. I'll be going over the background of the project, discuss the schedule and the work involved with the relocation that we're proposing, and then entertain any questions before going to the motion. So back in February, the board approved the utility design by FDOT consultant agreement, or the UWFCA, with Burgess and Nyepel. They were looking at the authority's utilities within this roadway project limit to see what impacts there were and if anything needed to be relocated. Coincidentally, DeSoto County is also using Burgess and Nyepel through a similar contract to look at their utilities within the roadway area and any relocations. And DOT loves their acronyms, so now we have the Utility Work by Highway Contractor Agreement, or UWHCA. This agreement allows the authority to participate with the roadway project construction, meaning that the highway contractor can now perform the utility relocations with a qualified contractor, and the authority can get the benefit of any of the surface restoration or maintenance of traffic that's already paid for under the roadway widening project, but also it puts us in line with the schedule for the roadway project, so we're not impacting them. The roadway project we're talking about is Kings Highway widening, going from 2 lanes undivided to 4 lanes divided in a 1.2 mile stretch from DeSoto, Charlotte County to the northeast, 1.2 miles to southwest Glenadine Avenue. This is the continuation of the construction you might have driven through. That's just right at the interchange of I-75 and Kings Highway, going to the northeast on Kings Highway up to the Charlotte County line. So that portion of Kings Highway widening is already under construction. This 1.2 mile section is the first section in DeSoto County to be widened, but the PD&E study that was done to look at widening the road actually extends all the way up to Peace River Road, about 2.3 miles. So there could be a potential roadway widening in the future for DeSoto County north of this segment. The authority has 2 utilities within this roadway project area. The first is the 24-inch Kings Highway transmission main, which spans the entire length of this roadway project, and also the 12-inch Lake Susie transmission main, which is about a half mile within the project limit. The 24 inches on the north side of Kings Highway, 12 inches on the south. So we currently provided comments on 60% design, and DOT and the utilities are moving towards 90% design on the project. There is no right-of-way acquisition, so as soon as the plans are done in December, they're going to put those out to bid, and they're talking about letting the project in early 2027. So again, the design contract was approved in February by the board. Today we're considering the utility work by highway contractor agreement. In October, depending on the cost, we're proposing to bring Burgess & Nyepel in for post-design services, meaning for construction, engineering services during the shop drawing submittals, during the construction portion of the Kings Highway widening. And then in December, if the agreement is approved today, the deposit for $5 million is due to FDOT through a 3-party escrow. And then the project would let March of 2027 based on the current schedule. So the work included in this is to relocate 1.2 miles of the 24-inch transmission main of the relocate 1.1 miles of the 1.2 miles within the project limits of the 24-inch, and then reconnect the Lake Susie DeSoto County meter assembly during the roadway project construction, because we can take advantage of the maintenance of traffic at that time. We are also proposing under this agreement to remove 0.4 miles of the 12-inch Lake Susie transmission main, and that's due to Charlotte County making improvements on their distribution side in the Charlotte County portion of Kings Highway, which actually negates about 0.4 miles of the 12-inch transmission main that's in place. So that does not need to be put back. It's in conflict now, but again, Charlotte County is making improvements and connections to their system, and so that 0.4 is a legacy pipe that's no longer needed. The one portion of the work we're proposing to do outside of the agreement with FDOT is the critical tie-ins to our 24-inch transmission main, 2 of them, and we're proposing to use our as-needed contractors for that so we can control the timeline, better coordinate with DeSoto and Charlotte County for those shutdowns and those cut-ins, and perform that work ahead of the March 2027 letting date. So the funding, we currently have about $2.5 million set aside for system-wide benefit projects, part of which is earmarked for the new water resource building, which we've discussed several times on our capital improvement plan. However, we have about 5 contractors doing work on the RV Griffin and water plant side. So there's a lot going on right now, and that project essentially can be put on hold till the time that we can better focus on that building. But the system-wide benefits can be used towards this project in addition to maybe a short-term note. So $2.5 million from system-wide benefits, $2.5 from a short-term note. This will not impact the rate to our customers as it's already included in the budget. And the contribution is already earmarked for $750K in fiscal year 27 for system-wide benefits. The proposed funding would be a 3 to 5 year short-term note, monthly variable interest rate payments. There's no prepayment penalty on that, and the current 6-month average on that loan is 3.27%, which is a lot less than my personal credit card. And with that, that concludes the presentation. I'd be happy to address any questions.
All right, do we have any questions or discussion on this? Okay, so I guess we're ready for a motion.
Mr. Chair, motion to accept the utility work by highway contractor agreement and three-party escrow agreement and authorize the executive director to execute both documents for a not-to-exceed value of $5 million.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That moves forward unanimously as well. Okay, thank you. All right, with that, we can move on to item 3 on the regular agenda, Regional Integrated Loop Phase 3C Extension Feasibility and Routing Study.
Hello, good morning again, members of the board. Katie Gilmore of your staff, now up here to present regular item number 3, the Phase 3C Extension Feasibility and Routing Study Update. At the end of this presentation, there will be a motion for your consideration to accept the results of the study. So today I will be presenting alongside Kyle Scott with Wade Trim. They are the consultant that performed this work for us. So first, I'll go over a little bit of the background and the history leading up to today's results. After that, I will hand it over to Kyle. He's going to walk you through the project's purpose, the study area and the routes that they evaluated, their approach, and then finally their recommendation for the route, the pipeline size, and pumping facility needs. And then I will come back up and talk through next steps and present you with the motion for consideration. So to recap how we got to today, back in December of 2020, the board approved a contract and we assigned work order number 1 to Wade Trim. And that was to perform the Phase 3 feasibility and routing study for the Phase 3 regional integrated loop pipeline project. The purpose of that study was to determine the optimal route and pipe sizing for the 3C pipeline that would connect the regional system excuse me, from the the terminus of the 3B pipeline in Sarasota County further northward into their system. They did a detailed evaluation looking at the optimal route, size for the 3C pipeline. At the time, they also did a preliminary look at further extending that pipeline into Manatee County to make a connection with their system. So that part, named the 3C extension, was not evaluated in detail at that time, and that was due to the fact that Manatee was not projecting a need for water until well into the future, but Sarasota County did need the 3C portion in service by 2025. So the study that Wade Trim did was complete in March of 2022. We entered into the interlocal agreement with Sarasota County for the construction of the 3C pipeline. So these maps are pages from that study. And so you can see the Phase 1 is where they did the detailed evaluation. That yellow line shows the extension, the 3C pipeline, which would go from the 3B at about State Road 72 in the National Cemetery northward to the Fruitville and Lorraine intersections. There was also a small optional portion that was suggested that would go a little further north. And then what they were calling Phase 2 is what would be the 3C extension. So again, this was just conceptual, but at the time they suggested that we could possibly connect to Manatee County system at one of 2 existing interconnects, the pump station number 4 of Sarasota County at University Parkway and Lakewood Ranch Boulevard, or potentially at the Sarasota County Pumping and Storage Facility at Lockwood Ridge and University. And these are existing interconnects that Sarasota and Manatee have. They have 4 or 5 interconnects already. So of course that yellow line, the previous slide, became the 3C pipeline, and that went into service last June. Many of you attended the valve turning ceremony. In August, work order number 2 to the original contract was issued to Wade Trim, and this was to take a detailed look at the 3C portion, to do the feasibility and routing study, to actually do that 3C extension to Manatee County. So the goal was to determine pipeline routes, sizing, pumping facility needs, and the optimal point of connection into Manatee County system in order to plan for future construction of this pipeline. The 3C extension will meet future demands of our customers. It'll also enhance regional resiliency by completing the final kind of connection of the authority to all of our members. So next I'll have Kyle come up and he's going to walk you through their evaluation and recommendations.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. So this project has multiple purposes. We're going to be serving more customers in the future. We have future needs of these customers. We have a connectivity purpose, redundancy, and operational flexibility. Really, all of this is to support that future regional water delivery and the reliability of our system. The study area and alternatives. So we started our assessment at the Phase 3C connection down at Lorraine Road in Fruitville. We looked at 2 points of connections to Manatee. The first one was at Pump Station 4 there, which is an existing Sarasota County and Manatee County interconnect already. And then we looked at going up all the way to State Road 70 on Lorraine, just as another point of connection that could be a possibility. So we also looked at multiple routes for these connections. And we screened all of these routes and performed extensive hydraulic modeling for each of these routes and points of connection. So how were these alternatives evaluated? We used the same methodology we used as the Phase 3C pipeline in 2022. We looked at constructability, public impact and safety, operations and maintenance. There's environmental and permitting, right-of-way, land requirement, and regional planning. So we looked at it from multifaceted, and after we got through a certain amount of screening, we also looked at cost. Our final recommended route has the highest overall valuation ranking. That's going to be starting at our point of connection like we talked about, working our way up through Lorraine Road and then down University Parkway to the Pump Station 4. Why did it have the highest ranking? Well, it's in public right-of-way mostly, fewer utility, wetland, and easement challenges. It provides long-term O&M access and makes use of existing infrastructure there at Pump Station 4. There's another portion of the project that is going to be recommended is how do we pump that flow and that demand to Manatee. And our final recommendation is there, looking at a site near Fruitville Road that the authority already owns. We've got the 5.8 miles of 36-inch transmission main, and we've got the connection to Manatee's water transmission system. So in the way that we looked at this hydraulically was that flexibility we talked about earlier and that connectivity was we could deliver water both directions, multi-directional flow in case anybody needs it in the future, which way. So now we go into costs. So the rough order of magnitude costs for the transmission main between the 2 points of connections, we had the one at Pump Station 4, which was $68.5 million, and then the one at State Road 70, which was $85.2 million. All of these costs have the work, some engineering construction services, and some contingency in them. And then the rough order of magnitude for that second part of this infrastructure is the pump station and storage facility. We have two alternatives there, either kind of increasing what we have at Pump Station 4 to meet our need, or building on Fruitville Pump Station site. Again, we already own that land. But the Pump Station 4 is $22.6 million, and the Fruitville Pump Station would be $31.15 million. Our final recommendation would be that alternative that was in the map before to Pump Station 4, that area of connection at $68.55 million, and then looking to establish our pump station and storage location at Fruitville Pump Station.
Before Kyle sits down, did anyone have any questions for him right now? Otherwise, there'll be time at the end for the questions.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Okay. So the next steps now would just be the motion to accept the results of that study, and that would make this kind of a more formal planning document for us to act on when the time comes. That this pipeline project is included in the recently approved 5-year CIP with a completion date of 2034, as shown in the schedule here. The most recent projection that we've received from Manatee County earlier this year was for a 5 MGD allocation in 2036. So this current schedule would be is designed to ensure the pipeline would be in service by that time. Of course, this projection may change either in the time frame that they need the water or the amount that they may need. So of course, moving forward, we're going to keep constant communication with Manatee County so that we can further refine their needs and the timing for any water that we may be asked to provide to them in the future. Okay, and so any other questions you may have for either one of us? And then here's the, excuse me, the motion for your consideration.
All right, do we have any questions?
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair.
Langford. I'm sorry. Mr. Langford, were you?
Oh,
You're good?
no good. Yeah.
Saw you push your button there.
Well,
okay.
I did. I was ready.
Okay.
I
Any
ain't,
further
been able to
questions?
I ain't been able to make a motion all day. Everybody else has outdrawed me. So,
The floor is yours, Commissioner.
I will yield.
well, that being said, I'd like to make a motion to accept the Regional Integrated Loop Phase 3C Extension Feasibility and Routing Study Final Report.
All right, that was a
Second.
great motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Since Manatee's getting all this water, we understand you're paying for it, correct? He didn't make the motion on it. No. All right, we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That moves forward unanimously. Thank you. Okay. All right, that, I believe, completes our regular agenda. And we'll move on to General Counsel's report.
I have nothing to add. I just wanted to confirm, did we close the public hearing on the budget? I missed that in my notes.
Yeah, I made a
did.
motion to
Okay.
close public input.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, and keep us in line. Make sure we do it correctly. But nothing further from General Counsel? Okay, moving to the Executive Director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Two quick things this morning. First, we have settled on a date for the Friends of Peacewater Barbecue for the 2026 barbecue in November. It's going to be Friday, November 6th. So I just wanted to put that out there for everyone. We're going to get placeholders out on your calendar here in the next few weeks and everything, but we did pick that date. We coordinated with Mr. Manson and Laura Donaldson on the legislative schedule, so it looks like a really good date to have the barbecues right after the election. So
Okay.
we'll see how that goes, but yes, so November 6th. The second item, a good news item, it didn't reflect in Ann's budget information, but despite the tight legislative session this year, we were able to remain in the final budget for some appropriations funds, so we were able to get $5 million from the legislature for the projects this year. We got $3.5 million for the PR3 project and the plant expansion, and we got $1.5 million for the 2 pipeline jobs. So the pipeline jobs will be split equally between 2C and 3C. So just a bit of good news for the board.
That's a bit of good
So
news.
with that, that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for our Director?
Yeah, Mr. Chair?
Commissioner?
Yeah, regarding the funding that we received, would it be appropriate for this body to send out a thank you to the folks that helped push that through for us?
Yes, that would be fantastic. I can have something drafted up for the chair to send or the board to sign as a group,
Yeah.
whatever your preference is.
Yeah, I would like that if you can put that together for the chairman and maybe email a copy to all the members so we can just review it
Absolutely, I'll
and
take
sign
care
it.
of that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
if there's no objection from the members.
No, that's a great idea.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm glad to hear it. Thank you for that report. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to my report, which annual review of our executive director's salary. You should, in your book, you have the evaluation forms. Had an opportunity to look at it. Very, very high marks for our director, and so I'm going to open it up for discussion. I did note that in our budget there was a allocation for, I think, a 4% increase, which aligns with, I think, this last year's CPI was 3.9, I believe. And sitting on a number of boards where we've made these decisions here recently, it's been I think all of us are looking at our budgets very closely and recognizing there's some tough decisions possibly coming down the road for us in terms of what we're looking at dollar-wise. So we've maintained a little bit lower level of increases this year than we have in past years. Again, kind of keeping things into the CPI range, but I'm open to discussions here. Open it up to the board for conversation, discussion about that. Commissioners?
Well, Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Taseo.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I took a look at the reviews, and obviously Mr. Anderson, I think, has been working very excellent for this body, and you know, he's always been available, very knowledgeable on what's going on. I know in my comments, I mean, pulling together Reservoir 3, I mean, a lot of work and effort went into that with staff to get that done. I think, you know, that just, you know, shows the amount of outstanding work that's been done by the organization and staff for a project like that to pull it off, and also to get the funding. I remember at the barbecue last year, we had one of the legislators there and able to get funding for the authority year after year. That speaks volumes, because we know how things work in Tallahassee, and getting money from Tallahassee is a heavy lift. So I think the organization has been going in the correct direction through the leadership of Mr. Anderson.
Okay. Commissioner Langford?
Yes, sir. I totally agree. You know, we've been blessed as a board, between Pat and then going to coaching and going to Richard, and everything just it's like a well-oiled machine. It don't miss a beat. We keep rolling. We keep staying ahead of the game. You know, looking to the future, and we ain't got caught yet short-handed. So I mean, that's all due to leadership from Richard and the ones before us that, you know, that we've dealt with in the past. And it's just nice to be able to roll into something and there never be a hiccup, and it just keep rolling. And I'm tickled to death with Richard and what he's been doing for the authority, and look forward to you sticking around longer than some of the others did when they bailed out on us. But I'll throw Coatsy under the bus on that one. He didn't stick around very long. He pulled out. But anyway, you're doing a great job as far as I'm concerned, and I think all the staff would probably agree with me too, because ain't none of them been calling me and ratting you out or snitching on you or nothing about stuff you're doing. So I'm good. I'm good to go. So.
Yeah, I mean, the complexity and the issues associated with moving forward on a project this size and stepping in and the seamless kind of transition there, very positive. I really appreciate a lot of the proactive thinking in terms of ordering ahead of time, making sure, you know, we're getting the best value for our dollars spent, and you know, taking that action is very important. Yeah, I kind of agree. Very high marks across the board.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a recommendation.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a recommendation regarding a salary adjustment consistent with the funding included in the board-approved FY 2027 budget effective October 1st, 2026.
Okay, I believe that was a 4% increase. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Yeah.
So the recommendation would be for a 4% salary adjustment.
Do you need a second on that?
Which,
or?
yeah,
Okay.
I would say go
I'll
ahead.
second that.
Okay, we just have a motion and a second for a 4% increase. Any further discussion on that?
Other than me, I just appreciate all your hard work and everything that you've been doing for the water authority. I'm a man of little words.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. I certainly agree with that. So let's go ahead and call the question. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That moves forward unanimously. Okay. Well, with that, let's see, where are we here? Back to the agenda.
Board comments, yeah, then public
Yeah,
comment.
right. Yep. All right, do we have any board comments?
Yes, sir.
ahead, Commissioner Knight.
I'll go ahead and start. Being as we're talking about water today and we're talking about drought, I just wanted to throw this out. You know, I seen something the other day that made me realize how dry it was. I actually seen a fire hydrant chasing a dog. So, but I just got one thing. I got in agriculture, we got the federal government gives us this, it's called drought insurance, or some people call it rain insurance, but it's based off of grids, and wherever you're at in your grid, you pick certain months that you think that the rainfall is going to be inadequate, and if so, once you get lucky and hit, it pays your premium for you, and then basically you get a little bit of change according if you hit in the right spot. Well, this being the driest year we've ever had that I can think of, I mean, it's been dry. It might have been when I was a kid and I just forgot about it or whatever, but anyway, so there's strategic areas within your grid where they measure the rainfall. Well, apparently this year it rained every drop that it rained from January till June in that one particular spot in every grid, because we ain't got nothing this year. So it just goes to show that it don't always pay off, some of these programs and stuff, but it's been nice in the past. But you'd have thought that it would have sent you a little paycheck this year, being as it was the driest year it ever has, but apparently everything rained in that one particular spot this year. So anyway, with that, I'm good, Mr. Cutsey.
They were out there with a hose sprinkling to make sure that they could.
I think so.
That's true. Yeah, I think for me, I'll weigh in on that as well. One of the things that does is absolutely confirm how important a decision it was to move forward with the third reservoir. I mean, this year has taught us, how vitally important that is. And when people, one of the questions I get is, on water, and nothing, what's more important? And then to be able to talk about the fact that, hey, we're moving forward on, this great project to make sure that that's there when we need it. And this is shown that's an important thing. So kudos to those who took the very difficult decision to do that. And, initially I know there were some objections and took a little while to get there, but stayed with it and made the right decision. So just thankful for those who went before and made sure that this continued on track. And thankful now that we're moving forward with it. So those are my thoughts. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing no further comments, our next board meeting, Friday, October 9th, Manatee County Administration Building. And then thankfully, it looks like we're going to hold a ribbon cutting for our new facility later this month, on the 25th. And so our future authority board meeting will be December 3rd at the new Sarasota County Administration Center. Looking forward to that. So with that, nothing further. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
All right, we are adjourned.